Welcome, everybody, to the very first episode of the Next Chapter CEO podcast. I'm your host, Lorraine Quick, and this podcast is designed for women over 50 who are navigating the exciting and sometimes very challenging world of entrepreneurship. Whether you're starting your own business, scaling one that exists, or reinventing your career altogether, this is your space to find inspiration, practical advice, and the confidence you need to thrive in your next chapter. In today's episode, we're going to be diving into a topic that is essential for every female entrepreneur: confidence. If you have ever doubted yourself, felt like you weren't quite enough, or wondered if you had what it takes to succeed in business after 50, you're not alone. In fact, it's one of the biggest growing challenges many of us face, but it is also one of the most powerful areas for our own personal and professional growth. And I am so very excited today to have as my guest Mary Scott, a confidence coach who has worked with countless women in midlife to build unshakable self-belief. She shares with us today her insights on how to cultivate confidence, overcome fear, deal with imposter syndrome, and thrive as a female entrepreneur. Whether you're launching a new venture or scaling a business, Mary has some incredible strategies to help you step into your power. Let's dive in now. Welcome, Mary. I am so delighted you're here. My first question to you today is, if you're or as a confidence coach helping women step into power, how did you find yourself in that role? What brought you to this point in time where you share this particular expertise?
Maureen, hello. Thank you for having me. What a treat to be talking to you today. It's been a long journey for me. But when I hit my 50s, I noticed, on reflection, of course, that it was very like this. And I thought, I can't be alone with this, that this must be something that a lot of women suffer. And I say suffer because we do suffer. We suffer silently about these things.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, well, I'm going to put all this together in a little toolbox and put my best foot forward and start talking to people out there in social media, face to face. And this is where I find myself today.
So basically, you just kind of put one foot in front of the other and went where it led you.
Oh, absolutely. And isn't that the key? Lorraine, isn't that the key? I mean, nobody takes this big leap. You don't do a marathon. You don't just wake up today and say, I'm going to go and run a marathon. You
Right.
actually do the training, you do the preparation. And for someone like myself who has done a marathon, the Boston Marathon, a long time ago, it took practice. It taught me discipline. And if you look at me, I certainly don't have a runner's body, let's face it. And I think the same in business and in life. We don't always have initially what it takes to move ourselves forward to success. So you have to tap into coaches and mentors like us, you and me, to help with some of that guidance.
So is it kind of the fake it till you make it kind of approach when you first start out, or how would you describe it?
It's funny, isn't it? That fake it till you make it, something that's been around for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And what I say is, why don't you borrow some of my belief in you? And I believe in you because of this. And even if I only know a little bit about you, I can, after 15 minutes talking to you, I'm probably pretty confident I can extract some things that I can reflect back to you that will help you to start that first step, because that's really all it is. It's the first step, because what I've found is that people get paralyzed. They're neither going forward or back. And if I can say, tell me one thing in your life, because when you get to 50, let's face it, you got a few runs on the board. Can you tell me one thing in your life where you were successful? They might have to scratch their head a bit, but they come up with one thing, and it doesn't matter how minute it is. You go, right, Okay, so you do know how to do it. And the shock and horror on people's faces, it's like, oh, I never thought of that. And so that taps into, oh, maybe I actually have something in here that will enable me to be more there and be more present. So I think that's how it all starts.
I
It's
don't,
listening, reflecting, and then saying, what about this? And then I think there's another component that I truly believe in, and you've heard me say this before, the cheer squad. The cheer squad is a very powerful component to anyone's growth.
I I absolutely agree. And so what I really heard from you was this isn't about faking it till you make it. It's that in all of us there is a spark. There is an ability to, as I would say, control our destiny through the work that we do with other people. And sometimes what you need is someone else who believes in you to maybe coax that spark into a full-blown flame and into a raging fire eventually as you work towards this dream of building and starting a business. Um, and that someone like a coach is perfect for that, but also it could be family or friends, it could be colleagues, it could be anyone who basically believes in you and is willing to support you in this process.
I
And
agree.
leading into that whole idea of a cheer squad.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. But you see, I think people don't even realize they've got a cheer squad. And when you think, I wrote an article recently, and I'll certainly paraphrase it to a large degree, but we came into this world, didn't we? And we had a cheer squad. Everyone's excited. They get their phones out. They take photos of this new baby. They help it. They push it. They love it. They hold it. And when it falls down, they pick it up, falls down. And then one day we get released to the world and we're on our own. And like, what's going to happen now? And so then it's up to us as adults. And I don't care how old you are, if you've at least, you know, get to 17, 18, 19, 20 and above, I always encourage this group of people to look for people that are going to be their inner circle in life. And that'll change
Mhm.
throughout the years, won't it? You're not always going to be choosing those people. But if you're discerning, you can create your own cheer squad quite early in life. And that's important.
I think that's great. And it reminds me of that idea that it takes a village to start a business, right?
Precisely.
You need a tribe. And so even if you haven't started a business yet, or you're just starting to think about that, you might want to reflect on who do I have in my life who will support me? And if I don't have enough people in my life to support me today, how can I cultivate that circle? So when I am ready to launch, I have my cheer squad all in place, ready to support and help me.
Absolutely. And look, I run a couple of long-term coaching groups, and there's people that have been drawn to them that have only had one or two perceived cheer squad people.
Right.
And so they come in and they automatically have a cheer squad. But very soon, with discernment, they find that there's people in their inner circle. Oh, yes, that's a good idea. I could have that person. And they get surprised with themselves that but if that takes a while,
Mhm.
then they've got an immediate cheer squad. And I think that's a really powerful component in keeping you like this in your business rather than this. Because this is what takes us out of the game. It's not this. Success is lovely and it feels good. But when you have one of those days where you're like tapping your foot, you're working at home, you're alone, that's when you need your cheer squad.
It's the ups and the downs to celebrate both, but we especially need them when we're in that down cycle, right? Or when that dip
Absolutely.
happens. Yeah, I think
Well,
that's
that's when people
wise.
jump out, Lorraine. People will give up then. And it could be that this big slope, depending what angle it's at, is actually your growth. I call it growth spurts, those ones when you're like, oh, I don't really like this. But you grow in those times. If you can feel your stretch, and I always say that, if you don't feel your stretch, you're not growing. So if you feel that stretch, okay, I know that this slippery dip goes up the other side. So I just have to find it in me to start to go up this way.
Nothing ever lasts forever.
It doesn't. And I
Uh,
did Vipassana yoga years ago, a 10-day silent retreat. And I mean silent, no eye contact, no talking, just a lot of meditation. And I remember after about day three, when the noise in my head was so loud, the teacher said, "This too will pass." I could have thrown a cushion at him at the time, but it's true. It does pass, doesn't it?
that when I was giving birth, that's what I kept telling myself. This too shall pass. Yes,
That's exactly right.
yes. Well, if you think
Yeah.
about women our age, what kind of challenges do you think, in general, women our age face or struggle with when it comes to believing in themselves?
I think the biggest, what should I say, restriction, I'm going to say,
Okay.
or belief is that we grew up in an era where we were told not to be selfish, you know, don't be full of pride, don't go out there. And where I come from in New Zealand, it was skiting. Don't go skiting. And that meant don't go showing off and being who you want to be. So we were dulled down. I don't know about you, but certainly I hear this a lot. Oh my gosh, my parents would have said, settle down, don't get too carried away with yourself. And I think that that really hamstrings us. And we go a little bit forward and then we go back because that inner critical voice is so powerful that we believe it's our own, and it's not. It's never our own. That's like mine was. Who do you think you are?
Oh, yeah.
That's a big one. Who do you think you are going out there but I soon learned that that was never my voice. That was a voice of my father or a care or something that I just heard over and over again. And I figured, you know what? If that's how it got there, then I need to create another whole narrative about success, feeling good, feeling nourished. And does it happen overnight? Absolutely, it does not. But I think that creates a lot of doubt, disbelief in people's own abilities. And when you think about that, we all have unique abilities. Look at you and me. Combination of a conversation, we bring a lot to the table. And
Mm.
I think, how could you and why would you focus on all the negativity that's been running around in our head since we were little? So I work with a lot of people with that as well, Lorraine, where help them to start a new narrative in their lives. And the other one is, create a new video in your head because some people are very visual
Mhm.
and they see these reenactments of things that are often not true. So, all right, well, let's create something different. What could we create? And suddenly you're looking, it's like looking through a new lens, isn't it?
Absolutely. And it always astounds me how it really matters how you look at the world and how you see yourself in it. And when you can flip that or change it, you can change everything for yourself. So it's a lot of for me, it's a lot of self-reflection on what are those thoughts that are in my head that aren't mine necessarily, but came from me or came to me from the way I was raised. And you're exactly right. I was always taught, be a good little girl, don't get noticed. And then another message kind of was, well, if you draw too much attention to yourself, you become a target and people will be against you. And so, but as a business owner, you need to be visible. You need to be out there engaging not only your customers, but also if you have employees, you need to engage them. You need to be the vision and the icon for the business. So you can't play in the shadows. You have to be up on the stage in the front. And if there is a belief system that's stopping you from doing that, you need to address that right away. But really, what you just said, Mary, applies to any belief that's holding you back. Know what that is, and then replace it with a new set of beliefs or a new narrative or new story that empowers you instead of takes you down and stops you from realizing your dreams.
Oh, absolutely. And here's the good phrase. I bet you remember this one. Children should be seen and not heard. And
Absolutely.
and therein lies a wonderful contrast. Like you can sit in the corner all your life if you want. And honestly, some people do. And or you can come out and show yourself to the world if you dare. But I think all of that takes support. And when I was first in business a long time ago as a psychotherapist, no one ever had coaches or mentors, or they might have had someone on the side quietly helping them, but they would never tell people, I've got support or I've got this. And things are so different. And the
Mhm.
reason I bring that up is because we've become a lot smarter. We do realize that community is powerful and that we do need to seek community. We do need to seek cheer squads in order to be a powerful, what should I say? I think there's so much power in authenticity, Lorraine. There's so much power in that. But some people don't even know where to start. And that's why I think coaches, mentors, therapists are really good for drawing that out and reflecting it back. And I think that's really important. And people fail to do that. They go, oh, no, I'm all right. I'm all right. And I think that's a shame because they deprive themselves of some magic within. There's so much magic in here that we don't even know about. Someone else sees it and says, hey, what about that? And you go, oh, that sounds good. And suddenly your trajectory is changed totally just from one realization that someone else saw that drew it out for you and showed you and said, look at this.
I agree. I think, especially when you're starting out, it is helpful to have someone that is on your side, that has some savvy experience that can help you switch or flip how you're looking at the world and how you see your particular situation. So it is, I think, wise to hire a coach, for example, or even a therapist. I mean, just someone outside of yourself who can see things for you and help you reframe how you look at yourself. I also find a lot of people think that, yeah, you're right. I'm good. I don't need all that. I want to invest all my energy in building the business. I want to put all my energy in the work that we do. And the reality is authenticity. When I meet people who are authentic, I am drawn to them. I want to be around them. I want to support them. I want to work with them. That it's an energy that is so appealing, and makes life, in my opinion, so much easier, work so much easier when we are able to be who we are. And that really brings me into one of the things I wanted to talk about today that we have spent a little bit of time on in the past. And that's really around this whole idea of organic, or what I might even call authentic marketing. How do you, as a business owner, forget the ads, forget the brand, forget all that traditional marketing stuff, which is important, but at the same time, there is this movement towards an organic approach to marketing. How does that work in your estimation or in your opinion when a woman is working to start her business or build it?
Let me just say this. I think it was 2017 or 2018, I spent $50,000 on Facebook ads
Hmm.
in one calendar year. I had great ads giving great results. And then Facebook shut me down. And I thought, what now? What will I do? And you know what? It was a great thing. Thank you, Facebook, because I realized that I wasn't really showing myself. I wasn't drawing people to me in the same way. And I can see that there's a place for ads, but you're competing with people that have millions of dollars that throw them at ads. 50,000 is a drop in the ocean, trust me. but no one can replace you. And one of the things that I teach, and you know this, and also one-to-one, is okay, so what's your story? And how are we going to tell it? And you said about authenticity. Well, yes, if you're authentic, you can be a lot like a magnet. And I run a workshop just last weekend, and I said, nothing here will be flashy. Nothing here will be high tech. And you can see some people may have come thinking, I'm going to give this app, this technical thing. Look, I'm not even that technical myself. But what I do know is how to tap into people's stories. I do know that within us, we have a story to tell that may attract people to us, regardless of what business you're in. I've got people in my group that are selling swimming pools, they're in network marketing, they're creating perfumes. It's a very diverse group. But what's the one thread in common that we all have is that we are tapping into our authentic selves, and we're talking about what's worked for us, what we've done in order to go from here to here. And you know what? That's quite unique. And some people say, oh, yeah, but, lots of people are saying that. Well, they may be, but there's no one like you. We just got to find and tweak the unique things about you. And then we're going to teach you as a collective how to talk about that. And one of the things, when I was a therapist for 16 years, one of the things I used to say to my clients that I actually still say today, and it wasn't yesterday because I'm not a spring chicken, but I'll never ever teach you anything or ask you to do anything that I haven't done myself.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're authentic, you're drawing from, let's just call it a mixing bowl. You've got all this goodness in here. So say you're my client, we have a conversation, you put things in, I put things in. At the end of the session, you go, yes. You hear people say, well, what was your takeaways? Well, it's what they take out. You don't need to take everything. You can discard 99%. If you take one thing from each session that improves your engagement and your interaction with another person, you're winning. And I think that creates success. There's this myth, Lorraine, that it takes forever. No, it doesn't. I'll tell you what it does take. It takes consistent, persistent effort.
Mm-hmm.
And when you think of all the cycles, we have action cycles, we have feeling cycles, we have spiritual cycles, we have all of those cycles that come into our lives. And I believe, and I haven't done a survey, but I've worked with enough people now to know the biggest cycle that we challenge with is action. Because I watch people, and let's face it, there's so many freebies around us, then I can jump along and do, freebies every week. But if I never implement anything, I never integrate it to myself, therefore I don't ever learn. And what's the point of that? Any courses I've done, and I'll ask you when I tell you this, whether this is the same. Say it's a weekend, it's quite intensive, or I do a 6-hour boot camp, and I say, the learning will start when we finish the course. People go, what? Because that's when you implement.
Mm-hmm.
And people fail to implement. The course is for the weekend, but no. When you go into a course and you commit to that degree, you commit to using some of those skills that you're taught forever and a day until they're not useful anymore. Can you relate to that, do you think?
I absolutely do. I think that it's really easy to get sucked into I am not ready, so I'm going to get ready, and I'm going to spend the rest of my life getting ready. And ready looks like me taking a whole bunch of classes or watching a lot of videos or listening to people who are talking about what it is I want to do. And at
Yeah.
some point, you wake up and say, I just need to start doing this, right? And I need to forget about adding more information into my head right now. When I have a problem, I can go seek the answer to that problem. But for now, I'm just going to start walking this path and see where it leads me. And that is the successful person. That is the woman who will actually achieve her goals because she is learning as she does. She's
Correct.
she's not seeking to be perfectly ready before she starts.
That's right. And is it, I'm sure you've heard this as well. No, no, I can't do that yet. I haven't been successful. Oh, but, let's talk about that path. There's always a path where we're just, you might be here, I might be there, someone else is there, and you're always on that path. And the challenge is if you're courageous, and even if you're not, find someone who is that can, nudge you along.
Mhm.
The movement will continue, but you have to do the action. You have to execute what you learn. And unfortunately, I think there's probably a lot of people still doing the courses because they're never feeling like they're good enough.
Exactly. And that comes down to confidence again. It comes back around. It's the person who said, "Oh, I don't need that. I don't need to do that up front because I'm good." And again, I'm going to invest all my money, my resources into getting this business ready to launch and launch it. But of course, what comes out is I'm not ready yet. I'm not good enough. I can't do this. These are the things that are in the back of your mind, and they stop you from jumping forward and just saying, "Oh, I'm just going to start doing this and see what happens."
Absolutely. I'll give you an example because I think this is a very good example. And it's not just something that's happened once, twice, it's happened a lot of times.
Mm-hmm.
I get people reaching out saying, because I think it's great to have a first call. No cost to your prospective client. And I say, send me, your social media and anything else you've got. So I get this beautiful website, Lorraine, that it's immaculate. They look gorgeous. Everything's done beautifully. And it's clearly cost a fortune.
Mm-hmm.
So we come to the day and we're chatting, and I say, what a fabulous website. Oh, yes. I'd spent ages and it cost me $4,000 or $5,000. I've heard some crazy prices. So how many clients have you got? Oh, none. And I think, really? It's the old story, cart before the horse. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not being disrespectful, but I think it's misguided. And if you're out there and someone's telling you, get a website, get this, go buy a new dress, get the makeup, get this, get that, forget it. Just come to the party looking like yourself and see how that goes for you. I think I think I laugh about this. I've probably only had a website for a couple of years. And it's just that someone said, "Oh, I think you probably should have a website." I said, "Yeah, that's a good idea. Oh, let me put one together for you." Like it never occurred to me that I would spend a lot of money on a website. And look, there is room for that. But why can't you make your social media as good as any website, Lorraine? Why not?
Well, in all honesty, that's what I do. I don't have a website. I use social media, and that seems to work, at least at this point in my life. I don't see a need to build that, to spend the money to build the website yet. Maybe someday I will. I'm not saying no, but I also think, yeah, you have to be careful. Like, as you were speaking, I recalled m many years ago, I actually started a bricks and mortar business. I ran a day spa. And when I began it, I hired consultants to help me figure out how to tackle this business and create a business plan and have a financial plan and all that kind of good stuff. And what I found was a lot of people were more than happy to spend my money. They always had great ideas about how I should spend the money I had to start this business. And when I look back, it was like, man, I was kind of stupid. Well, I should say naive. I really believed everything they said, and I didn't question it a whole lot. And so at one point, I think in the spa that I had, the chandelier that we had in the front of the spa was like a $15,000 chandelier. And it was like, later, when the chandelier got all broken and it wasn't working, I replaced it with a $200 chandelier, right? That I went to the store and I bought, and then I had a friend come with a big ladder and help me put it back up. So it's not about spending money to get a business started, right? In fact, I think the smart woman entrepreneur is one who says, I'm going to give my money only if I have to. The goal in business is to make money, not spend it. So what do I
Correct.
absolutely need to get this business going and to keep this business running? But it doesn't have to be fancy schmancy, right? Um,
Correct.
and again, it's that for me, what that was other people who I thought were experts telling me this is what I should do. Not that they were wrong in a lot of other things that they told me, but I should have listened. I would have wished I had listened more with a critical ear and said, because it sure is fun to buy a $15,000 chandelier when it's not your money, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And isn't that true of everything? Isn't that
Yeah.
true? No? My
Yeah. So
goodness. Yes.
definitely get help as you're progressing through your process, but also it's like being with the doctor now. I've learned I it's my body. So when the doctor says, I want you to take these drugs, I'm like, let's talk about this some more because it's my decision, not yours. And
Correct.
same with the business. It ultimately it's your as business owner, it is your decision how you run your business and what you do with that. And I think going back to things that we've talked about earlier today, Mary, I truly believe if you know who you are, if you have done the internal work to be authentic not only with other people, but with yourself, you will intuitively know what's right for you to do and what is not the right thing for you to do when it comes to all the decisions you make running a business.
I agree. It's interesting. We've been talking about organic marketing, and in my free workshop, I talk about mindset and organic marketing because you cannot have one without the other. And I think you've brought a very potent point to the table that we have to, what is it? Physician, know thyself.
Mhm.
And I think we have to do the work accordingly to get to that point. And I'm not one to advocate for people to go into business if they have no self-awareness, if they have no understanding about what really gets you excited, what are you passionate about? Because I think you lose your way very quickly. And my very first training, I laugh about this so much these days, as a somatic psychotherapist, that one of the rules, now we're talking a long time ago, was that you need to go to therapy once or twice a week for 3 years. And I was like, what? They must think I'm pretty messed up. I had other words at the time, but you get the story.
Mhm.
And I used to say to people socially, oh, what? You're not in therapy? And, and then, 3 years therapy once or twice a week, that's a lot of navel gazing and it's a lot of deep diving. And then I thought, oh, I'm going to do a diploma of Gestalt. Guess what? They wanted more therapy. I'm like, oh my gosh. But it was a powerful component. It was the beginning of something that has helped me to a lot of success. And if you do that the other way around, I think and don't get me wrong, I've done a lot of failing forward. I've skinned my knees more than once and my chin.
Mhm.
But I think if you do it the other way around without awareness, be prepared to fail forward a bit because you have to understand yourself. Otherwise, go back to the drawing board, engage someone that will help you
I
because
think,
you need to know. And I think the chandelier is a great example. You need to know that I don't need that. I've got this, for $200. But those are all things we're learning. And someone said, what's that? Probably shouldn't. No, I won't use that example. It's probably not a good thing to say because it's an old school thing. But how many times have I done something to get all this backlash? Ah, well, how else would you have learned it?
well,
How would you have learned it?
well, and so really what we're talking about here is that, again, a successful entrepreneur is someone who's open to learning and growing constantly.
Absolutely. Just you nailed it.
And I think it's like, actually, I'm almost laughing because I think at one point my father, when he was alive, he said to me, running this business is like the most expensive therapy you've ever been in. Yeah, you're right.
Thank you,
Because,
Dad.
yeah, you're forced to face yourself and challenge yourself in terms of who you are, what you think, what you believe, and what you can do. Yeah. So it's being someone who has a growth mindset is critical, I think, to becoming an entrepreneur. What about the woman who says to you, Mary, I'd love to do this, but I'm 66. I'm too old. It's too late for me. What would you say to her?
I would say, you know what, I'm allergic to recliners, and I'll be blowed if I'm going to get in at that age. And people go, what? Well, if you look back on 66, 65 years, are you happy? Are you satisfied? Do you feel nourished? Mm, okay, well, let's do something. Let's do something that really feels so good, that lights you up. Oh, because and this is a bit of a phrase that we hear a lot, you're never too old, but that is the absolute damn truth. You're never too old. And why would you? Why would you contemplate jumping on that recliner at 60, 65? If you've got a recliner, think about it. But just kidding. But like, why would you hang your boots up if you've still got mileage in the boots? Why would you? You know,
Absolutely.
I had a very good friend who told me a story about her mother. She said, "Oh, my mother was great." I said, "Oh, why was she great?" "Oh, she had so much guts." Well, she took up swimming at 72 and she learnt to dive at 79. I'm like, what? Yeah,
Wow.
well, she was going to the swimming pool and she saw they had those starting blocks that were slightly raised. So she said to just someone that was there, "Can you teach me how to dive off this?" And they said, "Oh, you sure?" She said, "Why not?" And my friend said, "I didn't see her when she first started, but that's how she started to swim every morning. I'm going to get up in this blocks and I'm going to dive in." And she did that till she was 83. And see, that lights me up. I saw you eat, you smile. Like, this is this is the purpose of our lives, to do something to make a difference. We all come with a sole purpose. For goodness sake, tap into it. And if at 67 you suddenly go, "I don't know what I'm going to do," find someone to help you tap into it, because there you just got to squeeze it out.
It's so funny. I laugh because I think, oh my gosh, this is the first time in my life I am free to do whatever I want. I don't have
Oh,
the constraints of all the kids and the husband and the job and all that stuff. And so, why in the world wouldn't I do something that totally lights me up and totally gives me a way to contribute and have a life that's meaningful and of service to people? Why wouldn't I want to do that? Yeah. So I'm not ready for the recliner yet either, but and I actually, the woman that's asked that question, she's not really ready for it either. She wants
but
someone to
she would be
tell,
asking it, would she? She
yeah,
wouldn't be asking.
she wants someone to say, "Oh no, no. Why would you want to hang up your boots?" Yeah,
That's that's right.
yeah.
And sometimes I'm here at my desk and I think, what's something new I could do physically?
Hmm.
And I think probably jumping out of a plane I haven't done, and probably I should just get on with it. Things like that. I have a bit of a giggle at myself. I think about these things. I've done paragliding and zip lining and all those kinds of things. And it was interesting when I did zip lining. My friend came, and I think she was 75 at the time. And say there was about 20 people in the group, and we're in Thailand. Imagine this. We've walked through the forest. It's a gorgeous day. And we get there, and when you get to 50, 60, 70, 80, the person running things always looks 12, or, they always look so young. So this
They
gorgeous
do.
man picks,
They
picks
do.
my friend. He picked the oldest person in the group. "Would you like to go first?" And Jean said, "Oh, yes." And everyone went, oh no, and she got on the zip lining. Well, of course, how smart was that man? He picked her and everyone else just followed like little angels. There was no too frightened
Yeah.
because he knew that if he picked her, she led the way and everyone was kind of compelled to go next.
She can do it.
Lovely.
Why shouldn't I do it, right?
Precisely. Yeah.
So, I mean, that opens up a whole nother piece that as a woman entrepreneur in her 60s and 70s and even into her 80s, we're role models for other women.
Absolutely.
And in that, just in that, we make a contribution to the world in terms of encouraging and inspiring others to step forward and find their purpose, their meaning in their life, and to give back to the world. Because I do believe business is giving back. No matter
Oh,
what,
absolutely.
you are making a contribution. You are providing a product or providing a service that somebody needs. And that's a way to make a difference in the world, a significant one.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. And when you think about it, it's a cycle, isn't it? You
Hmm.
give, you get, you give, you get. It's not a one-way street. And it's interesting that you mention role models. Some people that I speak to
Hmm.
say, a role model? I couldn't be a role model. I say, well, I think you are. Oh, really? And I think because quite often the people that are watching us are in our peripheral vision. We don't even know that we are a role model. But trust me, you're a role model. If you're out there putting yourself out there, having an opinion, doing things out there in the social space where anyone could be, you're influencing someone,
Hmm.
whether you like it or not. And your job is to be intentional about your influencing. So even when people are being influenced that you don't know, that you're not seeing, that you're not talking to, you have an amazing opportunity to influence them, to increase the quality of their life, laugh a bit more, and become successful.
And that is such a beautiful gift in my opinion. It's such a beautiful gift to be able to do that for other people. And also, I would say it doesn't even matter what their age is. I have had women in their 20s and their 30s talk to me and say, just watching you, you inspire me. And my
That's right.
life is different because I have made choices. If you can do it, Lorene, why can't I? And it was like,
Mm,
wow, right? It's such a wonderful feeling to be able to feel like you've made that kind of a difference in someone's life to make their life better.
absolutely. And I think that there are so many people watching. Let's just take you. They're watching you. You know, you're active, you go on these amazing walks, you put photos up, what you're doing, and I go, gosh, where is she? Oh, she's down there somewhere making her way up. And I think that's inspirational
Thank you.
to everyone. And I think that maybe we need to take a bit more responsibility for that in our lives. Maybe we need to I'm just thinking about this now.
Hmm.
I have these ideas, that, and I certainly in my circle of influence and people that I talk to, and I'm talking to people that I don't even know. Let's face it, when you're on social media, that's what you're doing, and my YouTube and all that. I think, really grasp this idea that I'm contributing. So be intentional. What am I going to contribute? So the people out there are going to receive something that's nourishing and that will give them courage just to get up. Some days people just need courage to get up, get out, put your feet on the floor.
I agree totally. And it is my reflections on life is that this is really important work. Whether you realize it or not, this is really important work. And if everyone in this universe could do this, would do this full-heartedly, my gosh, the world would be a completely different place.
Oh, utterly. Imagine it. Imagine it.
If we could
So
all
maybe,
inspire each other. Yeah,
yes, exactly. And just become more intentional, I think.
very much so. And so, as I listen to our conversation and as we start to wrap up, what I really think a lot about is that we may not have the confidence, we may think we do not have the confidence that we need to start a business, but in fact, we do. It's a small flame burning in you in the form of a desire, and that there are people around you that you can bring into your circle, into your life that will help you ignite that flame and make it bigger and bigger and bigger. We go through processes as business owners of continually self-assessment, self-learning, and growth on a very deep personal level, but then even as a professional. And that as we do all of that, our confidence builds and it builds and it builds. And what that does is it really allows us to make a difference in the world, to
Oh,
have an
yeah,
impact on other people through the work, the service, the product, whatever it is that we're in business for, but also through our own example as a human being. Oh, we can make a difference, and so can everyone else.
absolutely. So let's get serious, let's be intentional. For one, I sit down here every morning and I say, what's your intention? What is your intention for today? And I think that's good because it brings me in the here and now. I'm not just wafting, from my bed to my coffee to my shower, and I sit down here, like, what's the point? Be intentional. Take the day, milk the day, really make the most of it. And my point about the recliner, and no disrespect to people that love recliners, is that sometimes that's where we go to. That's our default. I'm just going to curl up and the world will just pass over us, pass over us, pass over us. And we need to stay upright. We need to stay upright so we can see everything and be part of everything and give back with so much gratitude in our heart that there's plenty for everyone. And that I think is the key to a rich life, isn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So this has been an amazing conversation, Mary. I thank you so much for spending some time with us today. Your insights, your experiences as a female entrepreneur are so powerful and so inspiring. And I am so grateful again that you were willing to come on the podcast today for our very first episode and share with my listeners. For those attending today, those listening today, thank you so much for tuning in to this first episode of the Next Chapter CEO podcast. If you found today's episode helpful, I'd love for you to subscribe, share it with a friend who could use some inspiration, leave a review or a comment to the show as well. Remember, confidence isn't something that you either have or don't have. It's really something that is burning inside you that you can cultivate and that you can grow no matter where you are in your entrepreneurial journey. So take that first step, embrace your power, step up, get out of that chair, and start creating the business and the life that you've always dreamed of. I will end by just reminding you to check out the notes to the show for links and resources to access and talk more with Mary if you are inclined to want to do that. And don't forget to join us next time for more advice, stories, and actionable strategies to help you thrive in your next chapter. Until then, keep believing in yourself and your journey. You've got this. And again, Mary, thank you.
Thank you, Lorraine. Thank you so much.
It has been a total pleasure.